Hello and welcome to Foliage. My name's John McDonald and today I'm going to show you how to make a single-ended spray. Now a single-ended spray is a nice item for a sympathy arrangement or for a funeral. So essentially single-ended spray is like a teardrop shape. So slightly teardrop shaped or kite size. So what I've got is I've got a single tray, plastic tray, which holds one block of floral foam which I've pre-soaked, and this has just been tied in with a bit of pot tape. We've got some foliage that we're going to use, and we've got a range of flowers. So I've got some orange roses, some gerbera, some iris, a little bit of Liatris, some thistle, Limonium, and a little bit of skimmia as well. So we've got a few nice flowers. Now this one I'm going to do ideally for giving to a man or for remembering a man. So that's why I've chosen stronger colours. And what we're going to do is, normally I would completely cover this base in foliage. But what I think we'll do is we'll put in a couple of key pieces of foliage, then we'll put in our flowers, and then we'll just see how little or much foliage we need to complete it. The problem with starting and filling it completely with foliage is it gives you a nice base, but you probably use more foliage than you would normally actually need. So doing it this way round is probably a better way to approach it. So the only foliage I really want to put in at the start is a couple of longer pieces, or a few longer pieces really going down the way. So this is coccuylus, and this is a really nice foliage. It reminds me of a laurel. It's got a lovely shape, and we're just going to put in really foliage that is down at this lower level. So if you think we're leaving that oasis free and we're just putting the foliage in just down. So this is going to define our boundaries for us. Now this is some fatsia, and these are great. So actually using a leaf that's quite big like this really creates a support for our flowers. So that is our base, and we've got our foliage, we've got our dimensions that we want to work in. So let's just leave the other foliage, and then we can come back to that and see if we need it. So the main flower that I would put in here would be the rose. So I've got this beautiful orange rose, and I think this is a nice choice for a man. So I'm just going to put in our main stem first. So this is the one that is going to take your eye down and be the furthest one. What you really want is the foliage to be beyond that, because that gives a bit of protection. This is slightly at risk of being damaged. So if the foliage goes beyond it, that's good. But as you can see, we've actually got quite a lot of foliage on these stems. So I think this is what we'll find is we'll probably need less foliage than we think, based on the fact that these stems already have foliage. So I'm going to put these in, and then we'll just have a wee look at what we've got. Now, this is really giving us our structure. So what we've got here is we've got our main flower, and then we've really staggered our roses down in a line, which is working really, really well. If you look at it in profile, then this middle flower is really quite high, and then we want this to come down low. So that actually could do with being just a little bit lower. So we want this to come down, so we're having really 2/3 to 1/3. And we're thinking a little bit like a kite. So I'm just going to lower that one, literally by putting a little bit of a turn on it, is probably the way to do it. You don't want to be constantly taking flowers out and putting them back in, take them out. You want to get the length right and place it and leave it at that. So our secondary flower that we want to use are these beautiful gerbera, and they're absolutely gorgeous. I really like a gerbera that's got a black centre because I think it has lots of impact. So we've got that framework of our roses, so we're going to really repeat that, but we're going to repeat that with the gerbera. And you'll see in a second when I hold it up how we've placed them. So again, we're going to create them in a line. And it is possible with these lower flowers that you could wire them, or you could do something just to give a little bit more support. But straight away you can see that we've followed that line, which is good. Now I still have 3 gerberas left. So what I'm going to do is just bring them more to the side. And this is at a lower level. And when you look at your gerbera, they've got like a little face. So I can make it face this way, I can make it face that way. I can, you can play with it. So take into account the way each of these flowers is sitting, and then you can make them work to the best effect. So essentially, I've got them all facing in the way I want, which should look like they're radiating from a central point out. Okay, our next flower then are going to be these lovely iris. And actually, I think the iris with the orange looks really, really good. So just looking at what I've got ones that are a little bit less open. So we'll take one of them and place that down to the end. And you don't really want your flowers to land so they're kind of in line with each other. You want to have that little bit of a stagger. And if you work in a methodical way, so you start at one end and work up, that's a very good way of working. Or you can work from the middle, and so have your middle flowers and then go in each direction. But try and be methodical. That really will give you a nice look or help with the consistency. And actually it also saves you having to think about how you're doing things, which is always a good way. And really with all the flowers, you're wanting to either create a definite line or bring that colour through the whole item. So I'm making sure that my iris go right up to the return end as well. So if we think of this as being the focal point, and this is really being the return, we get a nice effect. So just to show you that as well. So we've created that colour through the whole arrangement. So we've really got our focal flowers, our secondary flowers, and our tertiary flowers. So at this point, I'm thinking this might be a good time to put in the Limonium. This is a beautiful flower because it's going to give us a change in texture and a bit of a contrast. And it's got lovely arching stems that we can break down. So we'll take that now and place that in. So again, I'm looking not so much at the face on these because they don't have a face as such, but they do have a shape that you can work within. So I can put it in so that I get it to sit in the place that I want. So generally you want your heavier flowers to be more towards the center, your softer, lighter flowers to be more towards the edges or filling in. Just add a wee bit more. So this is quite interesting doing it with less foliage because it really allows you to see how you're placing these flowers. So if this is something that's quite new to you or you don't have a lot of experience, then give it a go. It's worth having a go and trying it without confusing the picture with a lot of different foliage. The tendency for a lot of people is, and I'm as guilty as anyone else, is to add too much. So what we've done there, again just to show, is that we've taken that colour through the whole arrangement. So this flower here is called Liatris, and this is a great flower for really getting to the end. So actually this might have been a good one to put in first, but it's got a nice narrow stem. We can still put that right in, and that can take us to the tip. Now with the Liatris, we've got some lovely long stems, so actually I don't think I really want to chop them really short and have them in the centre. I think it's better to have them slightly more to the long end. But we can just work that, and we can actually work it to the other end as well. That one we're not seeing. And we will put one in the centre as well, so we've got that connection. So again, we're taking the flower right down the line of the arrangement. So Now I've got some thistle. So again, this is another flower just to give a contrast. So we're going to pop that in, more into the kind of middle ground. And we're just taking that stem and breaking it down to get the best use of what was on it. So really this is our arrangement. Now as you can see, we've got a lot of gaps and we've got a lot of space. But we've got all the structure of our flowers. So now's our time that we can put in some foliage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about the outer area first. So we did that lower level. So we're going to come up a little level and I'm going to add some of this nice pine. So this was pine that we had from the Christmas festive period. And actually, if you've got material like this, it'll last for a long, long time. So if you can just leave it sitting outside in the cold, it's perfect. So where it's getting wet, not a problem at all. I think it's quite nice to throw in a little bit of foliage that you wouldn't normally use. So in the summer, you're more likely to use regular commercial foliage. But for putting in this does give it a kind of seasonal touch. Now, do I need this? Like with this bit here, we've actually got like a little unit where we've got a few different heads of foliage on one stem, and we can just put that in as a little group in itself. And you'll see straight away with the bigger foliage that we started with, that was quite heavy. This is a lot lighter, so we're getting a much nicer look. What I really love, and I think will work really well with this colour combination, is the green of this skimmia. So with the skimmia, we've got lots of different heads, and we can just break this down. This also has the floret on it that is going to give a little bit of volume. So we can work that again into these middle areas. So if you're wanting to create something that has a very natural sort of look and feels like it's meant to be like that, then actually having that amount of variety is really what brings it together. So you don't have to go mad and add loads of everything. We've got our nice arrangement, but what I want to do is add a little bit of the leather leaf. So the leather leaf is a foliage that we would use commercially a lot. It's a great foliage. It's easy to split down into little sections, and it has a lovely graceful arching nature and shape. And we can split that down so we get top piece, we get the bottom piece, and we can break that in. Now this is the thing that, from a commercial florist point of view, you're having to buy. Okay, you have to buy most of your foliage, but this is the one that I tend to think, wow, we've used a lot of foliage. So when you think, can I save on foliage? This is what you're wanting to do, is actually save yourself a little bit of money, but still get the same effect. Now I felt that one break, so I'm just going to reposition it. If you're putting in a flower and it breaks, there's no point in leaving it in. You really don't want to send out something where things are going to die. So I had this salal. To be honest, I don't know if we need it. We might just put in a little touch. So just look for, yeah, just a little bit. We can pop in. So again, this is going to give us a little bit of a contrast in leaf shape. And I'm just looking at the arrangement now and thinking, as a final check, is there any gaps? So I've got a couple of areas here that are a little bit green. So I still have a thistle that's got 2 or 3 heads on it. So we can pop that up into there. And there. And our main one I can bring down into here. And really that's all we need. So I'm just going to show you this. This is a single-ended spray suitable for a funeral. We've got a nice good colour combination, so people are really going to notice it. We've got a nice line with good focal flowers, and actually that's all the foliage it needs. When you think about this item, people can look into it from the side, but essentially it's more likely to be on the ground. So you're wanting to check it from above as well. So what would I have used? Well, I would have used these, but we didn't need them. And I would probably have put all that in as well, and we didn't need that. And I'm still left with a little bit of this as well. So I think, in a way, this is a good opportunity to look at how to approach things and maybe do things in a different way. So if you have the opportunity and you want to try it, then give it a go. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. And if you'd like to keep up to date with all our new videos, then click here to subscribe. So thank you for watching and have a good day.